Good afternoon, I'm Roland Rodriguez with the Aransas Pass Alliance, and today we are hanging out with the Aransas Pass Police Chief, Mr. Eric Blanchard. How are you doing, sir?
Good afternoon, Roland. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. All right. Today we're going to talk about this weekend, big weekend, New Year's Eve weekend. But before we get into that, I need to ask you about the Christmas tree behind us. What does it represent?
So the significance of this tree was actually an idea of one of our patrol officers, Officer John Valdez. Each one of these balls that you see on the tree represents a DWI arrest that was made this last year, 2021.
Quite a few already.
Quite a few arrests. The little flat cards are all the staff to represent the staff, but what do we consider these balls? Is it a bad thing or is it a good thing? We consider it a good thing. These are life-saving efforts right here. For every drunk driver we get off the road, we protect the drunk driver, we protect the population, and we make sure during this holiday season and throughout the whole year that a family isn't devastated by the loss of a loved one. And that's the entire goal, and that's what this represents. We're not identifying anybody, but we are pointing out that on this date, this time, This officer was able to save a life by putting a drunk driver or taking a drunk driver off the road.
And we really appreciate everything you guys are doing for our community. Now let's talk about New Year's Eve. You know, it's pretty much right around the corner, and we know the police department wants everyone to have a great time, but they want them to have they want them to be responsible during this holiday weekend.
Sure, absolutely. So we are going to be beefing up patrols. We're going to have extra staff out working this weekend. And the primary focus is to make sure that everybody is celebrating safe. So hire a designated driver or appoint a designated driver. Don't get behind the wheel and drive drunk. There are Ubers, Lyft, whatever the case may be. Don't drive drunk. If you do drive drunk and we catch you, we're going to stop you. We're going to save your life. We're going to protect your loved ones so that they don't have a loss this wonderful New Year's. Everybody needs to have a great time this New Year's, but they need to be responsible and be safe, and we will be watching.
And we know it's zero tolerance when it comes to drinking and driving for you guys. And
Absolutely.
Pretty much every law enforcement in the state.
Absolutely, it is zero tolerance. And you know, we're kind of a unique community. Most cities like outlaw fireworks and stuff like that. Well, you can't pop fireworks in the city limits, but we have a large area of flatland, about 40 square miles of water on our flatland side. So the council has been gracious enough to not ban fireworks across the Del Miller Bridge. So people are popping fireworks. We bring in people from all around the area, 3 counties, that want to pop and stuff like that. But we are beefed up for that as well, because you know what? It's very sad the day after New Year's and the week after we drive out there and we see all this trash. Come on, guys. If you're coming to our beach, our flatlands to pop fireworks and celebrate the new year, all we ask is that you police your trash, clean up after yourself. We'll have officers out there. Some of them also may have garbage bags. If you need a garbage bag, you can flag an officer down and get one. But don't trash our flatlands. We're very blessed to have a council that allows us to pop fireworks technically in the city limits over the Del Miller, not where the homes and businesses are.
It's all about safety.
Don't ruin that, and don't make them change the rules on that. So be responsible and be safe this holiday season. We don't want any devastation.
Yeah, don't take advantage of something that's been gifted to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what's the most common calls you receive during this holiday weekend, New Year's Eve especially?
Most common calls actually are disturbances and fireworks. So some people will say, oh, there's fireworks being popped, or they'll say somebody's discharging a firearm, and then we get disturbances because everybody gets together, everybody drinks and celebrates, there's disagreements and people start to fight. Before things get too out of control, if you need us, have us come mediate. We'll give you a sober response to maybe your intoxicated situation, and we'll try to keep people from going to jail, try to keep people from getting hurt or hurting others. But if it gets out of control, you may force us to make a decision. We may have to take somebody with us. So before it gets out of control, reach out to us if you need us. We're there to help. We're not there to create more problems or devastation. We want to make sure that everybody can be safe and have a fun New Year this season.
You hit it right there. You want everyone to have a great time, but at the end of the day, we want you to be responsible for your actions, no matter it's popping fireworks or driving while you're intoxicated. Those, you got to be responsible if you're going to do that, especially if you get behind the wheel. We know how dangerous and how dangerous to others.
There are some services too, like taxi services, wrecker services that offer free rides. I've often thought that maybe we should do that as a police department. Unfortunately, we do have the tendency to get busy, so I can't focus on providing that service. And I would hate to leave somebody out there waiting only not to have a ride, and then they decide to drive drunk.
Yeah, but there are so many options out there.
There are so many options out there. So be cognizant of that. Plan ahead. Don't plan last minute. Don't find yourself in that position and then trying to figure out what you're going to do. Plan ahead. Be safe. And don't just think about yourself. Think about the people that you affect if you make a bad decision.
It's going to be something that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, and you can't shake it.
And you may not have a rest of life, but they will without you. So don't put it to chance.
That's true. Anything else you want to add about this weekend? Make sure that everyone in our community understand that this is a weekend that we want to have a great time. We keep on saying it, but we have to make sure that we are very responsible for our actions.
Absolutely. I just want to wish you all a very happy New Year. I hope that you came off of a wonderful Christmas. Let's have a safe and happy New Year. We're here for you, Aransas Pass. God bless you, and we'll see you next year.
All right, Chief, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And of course, always an honor to hang out with you.
Absolutely. Likewise, Roland. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. And now joining us is Patrol Officer Mariah Lisko. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
All right, I was talking to Chief, and we talked about how this tree represents a lot of the, the staff, but also a lot of those who were arrested for DWI. And you have a real personal, I guess you could say, investment here, because you have a couple on here, but you were part of a DWI accident, am I right?
I was, yes.
So what happened?
So I was driving by the harbor at Huff and Wilson. I was coming up the road onto Wilson, that big curve that comes down, and somebody was coming around the corner pretty fast and hit right into the front of my car. So
were you on duty?
I was, yes, sir.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
So you were hit by a drunk driver.
Yes,
and
sir.
how traumatic was that?
It totaled the car. Yeah, it totaled the car. I was on light duty for just over a month, I believe, and I had physical therapy and all that good stuff.
Can I ask, what were some of the injuries?
Sure, yeah, my lower back and then my arm. I couldn't bend my wrist correctly for a while.
I guess from the impact.
Yeah, from the airbag.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and you still get a little nervous out there?
On that road, yeah, I sure do.
Because it's like PTSD. It just, every time it just, even though you're kind of over it, but you can never get over it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
It is.
And what happened? Were you able to, when the accident happened, were you still able to regroup and do your job?
So yeah, I actually thought that my main concern was that we would end up in the water. So I couldn't see anything after the accident happened because of all the debris from the airbag. As soon as we stopped moving, I got out of the car and was just happy to see that we were on land. And then I went to go, yes. And then I went to go check on the driver and the passenger of the other car.
Yeah, and how was that driver?
They were okay. Yeah, they had very minimal injuries from the airbag, from what I could tell. I didn't go with them to the hospital. I went to the hospital separately. So I don't know exactly, but they didn't seem to have any major injuries, which was good.
So I want to know, the question is, you're injured, you just in a major accident head on, it could have taken your life. Did you arrest?
I did not.
Oh,
No,
you weren't that,
No, well, I couldn't. You can't work the same thing that you're involved in.
Oh, okay.
So the sergeant that was on duty that night.
I wanted to.
No. The sergeant that was on duty that night took over everything and made sure that I was taken care of. Absolutely.
Your message to the folks out there who are thinking about getting behind the wheel, after, celebrating the New Year's Eve.
It's not worth it. Just don't do it. It's so dangerous. I mean, you see all these accidents and everything, and you see how traumatic everything can be, but until you're involved in it, you don't really know. It's just completely not worth it.
Yeah. What is the police department doing this weekend?
We're going to be doing some enforcement actions. We'll be checking for drunk drivers all along the road, specifically out east where everybody likes to go and party. So we'll have specific dedicated officers doing that this weekend.
A little hesitant knowing that there potentially could be a lot of...
I would recommend some hesitation if you're thinking about drinking and driving. I wouldn't do it ever, but specifically not this year.
Yes, especially, and people don't realize there's so many times of the year that, the odds are against you. It's plain and simple. If you're going to get behind the wheel, you're gonna go to jail. It's
Yes.
it's cut and dry, you know, because there's a zero tolerance, and it's, you know, it's not like it was 20 years ago. Things have changed, and for the better.
Yeah.
And this is something that people just continue, do not think. You know, your life is almost taken from us because someone decided to get behind the wheel after, you know, having a few cocktails. And, you know, the message is, bottom line, don't do it. And if you can, have someone else drive you. But you personally, this touches home every time, especially every time you get, you know, you go to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Final question.
Okay.
This is something that's, you know, you're trying to put behind you, but will you ever be able to put behind you?
You know, I hope so. We'll see. It's always probably going to be in the back of my head somewhere, but yeah.
But does this make you even more resilient as far as an officer and making sure that we get those who are under the influence off the road?
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad everything is okay. You can, you know, get back to work and, you know, protect our
Me
community
too.
and our citizens here in Aransas Pass. Thank you so much. Again, we want you to have a great time this weekend, but we also want you to be responsible. We'll see you next time. Be safe, and of course, always take care of your neighbor.